Hey, and welcome back. I am Hope,
And I'm Dre.
and we are Panic to Punchline. We are going to kind of feed off of our last podcast when we were talking about being people pleasers and perfectionists, and kind of intertwine that with dating and relationships. Because when you have anxiety or panic, and then you are also a people pleaser and a perfectionist, I would say, just from my experience and probably yours too, that danning, that too. I can't talk
Danny.
today.
I danned before.
I've danned. I've had some dans.
I
Anyways,
did have a dan. I did have a dan.
did you? She did have a. She
Daniel.
did have a
I
dan.
did. You remember
Anyways, squirrel. We're coming back. Dating and relationships are I would say a challenge. Maybe they're a challenge, but they are definitely different, I think, than with people who don't have those things. So like first and foremost, like when you start dating someone, like what is like, what is that process like for
me?
you? Yeah, because it's been 18 years, so I don't even know for me. I'll just be honest.
Okay.
I don't know. So we're gonna let Dre go with this one.
So dating, I've never like online dated. I've never done that. Because that's terrifying to me.
Why?
You don't know anything about them.
Well, you don't either.
I know, but like those people lie, right?
But so do people in real life.
Yeah, well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I've never dated like a stranger. Like Scott was my first stranger
Oh, okay.
because I've always like worked with them or been friends with them,
Okay.
or it always like led to dating. But I like, to be fair, I'm the worst person to like come to with this because I had a child. So like I didn't go out to clubs. I didn't go meet people like that. I didn't go to bars. I had to meet them on the off time with her, which was my job. So I ended up dating people that I already knew a little bit about. So like some of the truth was there. They still ended up being like dirtbags, but you know what I mean.
I do.
But so
I do.
like you definitely hide who you are. Like
Yeah, like
you hide. I would never like, if I had anxiety, I would obviously be like, oh, I can't come tonight because, Casey's sick or whatever.
Oh,
like you wouldn't be like, I'm having a moment. Like with Scott, he's been with me on those things and where I'm like, can I go home? I just need to go home or whatever. And he's like, no, let's just take a minute. Like he's great with it, which is insane.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I had to like break down and tell him this is obviously like a year later. But you just hide who you are, which is sad.
It is sad.
You want to be who they want you to be.
And that is a big thing.
And I think that, so there are like a lot, like people pleaser is a big word, right? Because I think that that's just a dating thing or a female thing. I don't necessarily think that men are like that. I think that men are men,
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's probably some shared qualities, but I do feel like I think that
the morphing into the whatever you want me to be is more of a female thing.
Okay.
Because I feel like females want you to like them. So they're like, oh, I love football. But you don't like football,
I do.
Well,
but I
know there are some, like, I love basketball. I love baseball. Football is not my thing. I've never watched football in my life.
Yeah.
You could say
this is true.
A play and I'd be like, okay. I don't know.
She's not lying.
That's not my thing.
Right.
But you always say that. Game of Thrones. Girls are like, oh my God, I love Game of Thrones. No, you don't. They're like 9,000 families. It is like a fucking history class. You don't like it. Okay? You like your man.
I read the
likes
books.
It.
Well, see, I read the books because I'm a nerd and I read the books and I love the books. I never watched the show.
I loved the show, but I watched it for a dude, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he had explained it all to me. And then we broke up. And then it continued.
So you had to watch it?
But then I still watched it because I was into it. I understood it by then.
Invested.
I was invested.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, females do a lot of things like that. Like that they say that they like, and they don't. And that is seriously the truth. Like there's memes about it everywhere where,
Yeah. I mean, I do agree with a lot that you're saying there. I do feel like in all the other avenues of life too, but especially when you're dating or relationships or even like just relationships with people at work or relationship with friends, I do feel like when you have these things that you have to pretend a lot of times that you're okay and there's nothing bothering you, even though you're freaking the heck out.
Yeah, well, with anxiety with dating, there were so many times that I wouldn't go on a date
Just wouldn't go.
because I don't like riding in the car. I don't like being in tight spaces. I don't want him to know that I have to sit on a certain spot in the restaurant.
We've been
I
through that.
don't
Yeah.
want, like, and
Yeah.
I'm a lot better. Like, my anxiety has
Yeah.
calmed down, like,
I would agree.
tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in my 20s and stuff, like, it was peak,
Yeah.
So there was definitely, like those issues where I didn't want people to see that, so I would just not go.
Just
And
not
even
go.
on, like, friend outings and stuff too, I mean,
Yeah.
I would wanna drive my own car.
Mm-hmm.
So someone was like, "Oh, I'll just ride with you." Bye. No, you're not. We're not going. I'm not going. I gotta go home. Like, no.
Honestly, I do. I remember. So
Yes.
that's totally fine.
I was a single driver.
Yeah.
Do not get
I
in my
feel like
fucking
I've only been in
car.
your car like maybe like when we were younger, like probably 2 or 3 times out of the whole time.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yes. That
I
makes
don't
sense.
like. So there's so many little things that would like scare me
Yeah.
that I just wouldn't go. So
Mhm.
like dating was it was a struggle for me. That's kind of why like it was literally like I used Casey as a super crutch
Yeah.
back then
Wow.
on that. And so if I dated like someone from work,
Mhm.
we'd just hang out at work or like after work. Obviously we went to work, so we had different cars. So I didn't have a car issue.
Wow.
We would go do
Yeah.
something afterwards. I'm like, oh, I got to take my car. Oh, I can't drink because I've got to go pick Casey up. Like all of these things,
Yeah.
like I would go around because I could not let someone see that side of me.
That is-
Now,
that's
I may not have
cool.
even been anxious that entire night, but
Mhm.
the thought of it made me
Mhm.
want to kill myself.
Oh my
Like I
goodness.
couldn't do that. So dating, I had to find the right person that, or else they were just, we don't have to discuss it. You know
Right.
what they were,
Right.
or their role,
I do know the role.
right? You know their role, and they stayed in that role,
Yeah.
and they didn't get to know me very well.
That's I mean, 'cause you say those things and like so now I flash back and I kinda think
Yeah.
about it and I'm like, wow.
Like Will, I kept Will because he'd ask questions. He'd ask questions. If I just wanted him to like meet me somewhere, he would. No, like it was easy, so I kept Will for a long time, and
Yeah.
then everyone else was.
Yeah. No, I'm super proud that you've even talked about that because like
Sorry, Will.
uh, is she? She is because she's sweet. I that is honestly, that's eye-opening to me because like I do remember those things and now I'm like, "Oh my gosh." That makes sense.
And another thing, like I got like a huge stigma when I was younger, which I never thought I would ever talk about this, but being like a whore,
Mhm.
and I wasn't a whore,
Mhm.
but I just couldn't stay with someone long enough to let them see that side of me. So
Yeah.
like dating a bunch of people is what I did,
And
and
so
you
you
bounce and like
right.
you just bounce before it gets serious so that that side of you doesn't come out. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. Maybe they don't even know that's why they're doing it. Because
Yeah.
I have like a flight. I'm very flight.
We're flighties. We're
Yeah.
not fighters, we're
I
flighters.
am a flight
1,000%
in a
flighty.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then you add the fear of someone seeing who I am, I'm out. Like
You're out.
I don't want that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think my thing, I haven't dated anybody in a long time, but my thing was
Yeah, but
too,
you found the person that
I did find the person, but I also my like coming out thing was not, it wasn't like this huge extravaganza that like, I guess people these days can do, but it was like, I was, in denial for a really long time.
Mhm.
Yes, she knows. I was in denial for a really long time. And then when I met, Donna, I didn't know how to handle it very well. So, but our dates were wonderful because it was just like, oh my gosh, this person like actually sees me kind of thing. You know what
and
I mean?
understands it.
And understands it and was like, and my anxiety wasn't like heightened at that time, but it was there. Like I
Yeah.
had little quirks, I think. So like, yeah, my experience was a lot different. Now before Donna and all the guys that I dated too, we used to call it back in the day the ick when they gave us the ick.
Yes.
So if something happened, and I think this is a little bit anxiety driven too, but like if something happened and they did something or said something or something like that, and it just made you go ugh, like that, like that's all I manifested on, and I was like, and we're done.
Yeah.
And
or
I think
like
that was my like reason of like, oh, I can break up with him. I can break up with him because that was gross. It could have been nothing. I mean, they could have said, "Oh, I think that donkey is purple," and I'd have been like, "Okay," and then
Well,
that's
you're
all I would
dumb.
think of. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
and we're done now. So that was kind of like my thing with that. So, let me ask you this. So once you get past the like you meet them,
Mhm.
then like what because you had some longer relationships too. So like
3.
what was it like, I guess? Did you ever let some of those like longer relationships in and know that you had these things?
Um, so we mentioned Daniel.
Daniel.
Um,
Yes.
he was probably the first, and I was 31.
Yeah.
He was probably the first guy that I dated for a very long time.
Mhm.
Everyone else was like, I mean, when you have a kid, dating someone for 6 months or 7
It's a
months
long
is a long
time. It's
time
a really
because,
long
like,
time.
I
Yeah.
don't, mind you, these people did not meet my daughter. I was very weird about stuff like that.
Really?
They met the people that I worked with already knew her,
Well, yeah, that's true.
so, but they didn't like come to my house. I didn't have
Okay,
sleepovers.
so
I
you
was
didn't let
very
them
weird
in.
about stuff
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Daniel was my very first boyfriend that I let in on my crazy side, but he also had a thing too. So I think whenever you have a bond with someone,
Mhm.
um, that helps.
Yeah.
He had uh he had a lot of anxiety because he had had a stroke at 29, and so
Yeah.
like he
I didn't
felt
know
like
that. Yeah.
people judged him because he had like that weird eye tick. I don't know if you remember that. Okay, so
Mm-mm.
it wasn't even noticeable, to be
No,
fair.
I didn't know.
Um, but we were together 5 years, and he got me. Like, he was the first person that I let in, but after him, I was done, like, because I was
Well, I
scared
think
of
that
that.
that vulnerable part of you that
Yeah.
finally was like, "Okay, this is who I really am. Do you still love me?" It goes back to the
Yes.
people pleasing, like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna tell you this part about me. This is why I act the way I act. Please still love me."
He did cater to a lot of it, I will say that, like, the chicken and, like, stuff the weird, stupid
Chicken.
things that are funny, everybody jokes about them, but
Yeah,
they literally make
they
me
are.
cry.
They do. They do.
He did cater to that a lot. He was good, but, you know, obviously that didn't work out, and then I did the same thing. I reverted back to the, like, keeping them around until that started to come out of me,
Mhm.
and then I couldn't do it. Like, that was my ick. Like, if they started making me feel anxious, I was done, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Like what can you like think of like what like things like not you don't have to be like really specific or anyone, but like what were like kind of the things that it like was it just because you started doing your anxious like your tics and your symptoms around them, or is it like that
yeah,
they
maybe, or, like, wanting to see me more,
okay.
wanting to, like, do things more. I was not a very big feelings person. I don't know if you know that. I mean,
Yeah, I knew that.
probably.
Mhm.
Um, I just wasn't. Anyways, sorry guys, whoever's out there. I wasn't. I
She
was
wasn't.
not the "I
She is
love
now.
you"
She is now though.
snuggly girlfriend.
No.
That was me. I was a people pleaser. I did whatever you wanted so that you would love me, but
Um
I didn't show that very well.
okay.
Um,
I mean that's that makes sense. I mean, it
uh,
does.
because once I let my guard down and I love you back, you could hurt me. And then
I
that's
agree.
whenever all my things come out around you, you
Yeah.
know? Like, if you don't care about that person, like, if you don't care what they think,
Mhm.
then I feel like I'm not as anxious, you know?
No, that makes sense.
Around humans. This is in relationships. This is
Yeah.
not in everyday, like, where I wanna cry at Target. Like, those are different, like,
We
this
love you,
is like a
Target. When we come
relationship
back. We love you,
type
Target.
anxiety.
No, I
If
agree.
I feel like I love you,
Mhm.
then now I'm anxious about everything
Right.
going on,
Because
because now I have to be perfect, because what if you stop loving me, then you hurt me.
right. And then we strive to be perfect, 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 and then
Mhm.
what if our perfect isn't good enough?
What if our
Because
perfect isn't even what you think is
yeah.
perfect? Because our perfect is different, like someone could want somebody that's super lazy and sits at home and watches TV with them all day long.
Yeah.
That could be their perfect. And then someone else thinks that's disgusting and they want someone that works all the time. There's so many,
Yeah.
everybody's perfect is different.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think that's a weird part of like I think when you start dating someone and you have like that honeymoon phase, right? Like we all are
yeah.
wonderful and great, and then you decide to like have a life together, and that's when you start really seeing, I think, who this person really is. And I think that is a very that's a huge struggling time for us right there because it's like, okay, if I really like this person, are we gonna move on? Because, like, I was always like I wouldn't let anybody in.
Mm-mm.
I was Miss Independent, like, I dated whatever, but I was like, after just a minute or 2, I was like, "Peace out, done." I just didn't, and I think that comes from a lot of, like, childhood stuff where,
Mhm.
I
Maybe.
felt abandoned or yeah, we can go on about that.
Oh, yeah.
We can keep it one day we're gonna hit that topic, just not
Which goes
today.
into my, like,
Yeah.
if I love you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll go into that eventually, after we both have some therapy on it again.
I've had it.
She's
I'm
had it.
good.
I mean, I could lead it, but it'd be weird. Anyways, so I was always very much so like, yeah, we can hang out, we can go on dates and we can do those things, but once it gets to the part where it's just like um commitment,
Mm.
I was like, no, and I'm done. And I think that was probably one of my big things too. Well, one, I was hiding that I was gay, but also sorry about that. I
You're like,
really
"Oh, maybe
did.
it was 'cause I
No,
was
I
dating
really did. Like
dudes."
there were like 2 guys that I dated that I really, really, really liked.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin was good. You remember Kevin? Hi, Kevin.
I remember Kevin.
Kevin was cute. Yeah,
He was super cute.
he was cute. But I dated another guy in college that I was. I mean, I think that I started having feelings for him, and then like it was just like done, and then I was just
Feelings
like,
bring out a
yeah.
very different side of me, you know?
Yeah, I think when feelings get attached to it, and I think I mean, they may be different from. We lost the video. There it is. They may be different for everybody, but I think, especially when as an anxious person and when feelings get attached to things, um, a lot of times we spiral a little
Yes.
bit because we just
We self-sabotage.
we do self sabotage because we want to protect ourselves because
Mhm.
somewhere in our past.
I know where mine was.
Yeah, I know where mine was. Somewhere in our past, like we have been abandoned or, you know, we were not loved or something like that. And so it makes it harder, I guess, to find that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes it harder to accept it, like, for and I'm sure that some of the people that I dated, if I would have continued, maybe it would have been great, you
Mhm.
know? Like, they could have been what I needed. I
Mhm.
don't know, because I was not ready to deal with any of that, but you just, um, I don't know, dealing with your own feelings about someone else and then actually accepting their feelings for you,
Yeah. That's
they
hard.
don't that doesn't work in my brain, you know?
I don't know that it works in a lot of people's brains. I
Yeah,
think that is a hard thing to like ingest, and to comprehend.
and
Because I think when it comes down to also is there's a part of us that doesn't feel like we're lovable because it's been
exactly.
damaged.
Because you were told that or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, I was just gonna say something and I don't
That's okay. I mean,
keep
and I
going.
think we can. I mean, as far as like that's definitely dating and relationships. I will say that we are both very lucky in who we have now.
Yeah.
I know that I'm very lucky and bless her. I mean, I say that all the time. Bless her. I know we maybe come across that we're really crazy. We're not really crazy all the time. I promise.
Yeah, I'm
But
actually fun most of the
yeah, we're
time.
usually like we're a delight. But
Are you mad at me?
but are you mad at me because I said that? I don't know. But we are very. I think we're very fortunate to find the people that have the compassion, that have the space for us, but that we also are comfortable enough with our person to say this is how I'm feeling right now, and they know us well enough now how to like bring us down, or
Yeah. Or what not to do to trigger it.
right.
That's
They're
a
very.
big deal in
That is true.
relationships with anxiety. Here's one fun fact because I've dated
Fun fact.
lots of people.
Yeah.
Um, they need to know your triggers,
Yep.
but that means you have to tell them things.
Yep.
So that's why I think like Scott's the first person I've ever told about me not knowing my dad,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so I think that helped a lot
Hmm.
because not I don't have daddy issues. I've never had them. Like that's not a thing. My dad is in my life now. He's amazing.
Right.
But me being able to tell him like certain things about myself that I've never ever ever told anybody,
Hmm.
like made whenever I that abandonment type thing like more understandable.
Yeah.
Um so you have to let them know, You have to find the person that you wanna open up to, and if you can't open up to that person, they're not your person,
And I agree with that.
you know?
You
Like
can't force it. Um, and I think people like us, like we make sure that they can't force it on us because we're like, no, we're done. Like, and I did hate that part of myself that I couldn't tell people in my past like this is why I let you go.
mhm,
This is why I just ghosted you or cut you off because I didn't want you to see the real me.
exactly.
Because I didn't want you to get freaked out or like, oh, I don't want to deal with like your issues or things like that. And it's not like our issues are like detrimental to everything, but I mean, there was a point where I couldn't even leave my house for a while because my anxiety was so bad. I mean, I basically my 30s were like absolutely shit. And
Hmm.
I honestly don't, I really don't know why. I mean, other than she loves me, I don't know that, you know what I mean? It's hard to
Do
figure out
do you ever
why
have that, like, I'm not good enough for her?
all the time.
That's my thing, and I've
Mhm.
I've actually had that with, like, I guess, maybe one other person,
Mhm.
but, like, with him, I have that a lot, but with other people, I had a lot more confidence, like, I mean, Hope's known me forever, like, I
Mhm.
was, like, because I had no emotions or I didn't show
Right.
them, so, like, it was a little bit different in relationships back then,
Mhm.
um, but with him, it's, like, that's my thing now, like, that's where my anxiety, like, is coming from, is, like, I don't feel like I'm good enough, like, and then I'm, like, well, what if there's a girl that, like, does this better or does this
Mhm.
more, has more in common with them
Yeah.
or whatever, like, that's a constant for me.
Mine is also like I feel guilt because I feel like she's missed out on a lot because like I couldn't go into certain things. I couldn't do certain things back when I was really, really like just it was really bad. My anxiety was really bad. So I feel a lot of guilt of like she missed out on this, she missed out on this.
Uh,
And like I'm at the point now where I can do those things and I'm like, let's make it up. I want to make it up. But like
go
let's go
somewhere.
do this and do this, and so I feel a lot of guilt on that end.
I can see
Um
that.
but she always tells me it's fine, it's not a big deal. She's like, this is our life and this is what we do. We like to watch, sports and TV and we like to do this and we like to drive here and do this. And so we have our life, but I just feel like, there was a long period there where it we couldn't do
It was
much.
just the
Like
2
I
of you,
literally could
like,
just
just the
like
2 of
go
you.
to work and that was a struggle because my job, like all I could do was go to work
I
and
used to
come
cry in
home.
my car
Yeah.
because I was like, "Oh my god, but I have to see 800 people right
Right, and
now."
so, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I had to and with my profession, like, you're on stage the whole time you're there, like, you have to be on and there for, the kiddos and whatever, and they can't know what you have.
No.
They don't need to know, like, it's like, that's not part of why they're there, but as I got better and again, like, fixating on myself and making myself a better I just come out, like, day one, I was like, "This is what I have. These are what" so I know a lot of you have anxiety and stuff too, so, know that I'm here for you, so, like, if I ever have a little issue, that's what it is, and they're like, "Okay, cool, I have anxiety." You know what I mean? And so it's like it's gotten better, but, um, yeah, so and I think also in relationships, I mean, it could be the friends thing too, like, you had people in our life I mean, I've had people in my life where, um I just had to stop because I was
Yeah,
just
you have
like,
to cut.
I felt like there was like too much, too much, too much, too much. And like I couldn't give you everything that I feel like that you wanted or you were like asking too much of me. And like I just I can't. And like a lot of people don't know why. And again, it goes back to the anxiety of it. So I think it runs deep in dating or really any relationship that you have, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that is our we could go on and on about dating. But I do think it's important to talk about the people that have anxiety and panic and the struggles that we have with dating. And I mean, now like you youngins out there, like I mean, y'all Instagram and find people online and y'all meet up at like they still do bars and clubs. I don't you're in the business, they still do that. I mean, you
I
know,
think they meet up after it. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
think people, like, just go out with their friends and then, like,
And then they meet.
beat someone
Yeah, so
there
I
and go
mean,
home with them.
it's a different world, but we understand. And so that is our segment on dating and relationships. I am Hope,
And I am Jay.
and we'll talk to you next time.